Emergency UN Security Council meeting on Iran-Israel permanent ceasefire. US President Donald Trump has declared that a permanent ceasefire between Iran and Israel has become into effect, but it has yet to materialize due to shelling from both sides. Iranian and Israeli attacks continued Friday night and Tuesday morning. Iran said it was not in a formal ceasefire agreement. The resulting volatile situation remains, although there has been a positive response in the market with oil prices falling. Missile attack on US airbase in Qatar. On June 23, Iran launched missiles under the operation titled Operation Glad Tidings of Victory, targeting the US airbase at Al Udeid in Qatar. The attack was pre-informed to Qatari authorities and was successfully intercepted in time. Although no casualties were reported, the incident has significantly escalated in tensions in the Middle East. Despite the ceasefire declaration, exchanges of fire continued on the front lines, posing a major obstacle to lasting peace. The US-Iran dispute over Middle East issues has intensified pressure on the international political landscape. Civilian casualties from Russia's drone attacks in Ukraine are reigniting the humanitarian crisis of the war. Step 2. UN Secretary-General António Guterres issued a strong appeal saying all concerned parties must implement an immediate ceasefire and resume diplomatic efforts. Iranian Ambassador Akrisi criticized the US-Israeli attacks as a destruction of diplomacy and stated that Iran's response will be carried out on its own terms. Israeli Ambassador Danny Danon praised the United States, saying it has confronted Iran's nuclear threat and hinted that military operations will continue. U.S. Representative Shea stated that policy actions are typically taken with congressional approval, but this strike was carried out as an emergency measure, not through prior congressional consent. Step 3. Meeting outcomes and proposals. Chinese and Russia's proposal. A resolution. Chinese and Russian proposal. A resolution calling for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire was tabled with strong support from China and Russia. However, it is expected to face a veto from the United States. Voting prospects. At least 9 votes are required for the resolution to pass, but the US is likely to block it using its veto power. While the meeting reflected the intensity of the crisis, no effective decisions or sanctions were announced in practice. Even press releases warning of indirect catastrophe. UN Secretary-General António Guterres warned that the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran could ignite an uncontrollable fire on that must be stopped in time. Palestine's nuclear facility strikes. He stated the US attack on Iran's nuclear facilities marks a dangerous escalation on that could further inflame tensions in the Middle East. Humanitarian protection and IAEA oversights. Guterres emphasized the protection of civilians and the importance of the oversight by the International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA). He called for a clear, comprehensive and verifiable solution, ensuring full transparency under IAEA supervision. diplomacy and international law, he urged all parties to respect the UN Charter and international humanitarian law and to resolve the crisis through diplomatic dialogue. Fear of war in the Middle East swept UN action. In response to the escalating situation, the UN Security Council and Secretary-General have taken the following initiatives. An emergency meeting was convened. A session with member states was held to discuss peace and stability in the Middle East. A ceasefire proposal was introduced. Efforts were made to reduce tensions through open humanitarian access and ceasefire agreements. Both parties were urged to exercise restraint. Emphasis was placed on international law and the protection to human rights. Plans were laid out to ensure humanitarian aid, including delivery to relief and protection of civilians in war-affected areas. There were differences of opinion among major powers like China, Russia, and the United States. Some members supported an immediate ceasefire, while others expressed support for Israel's right to self-defense. Global concern over Iran-Israel tensions, especially UN Security Council discussion. Amid rising global concern, the UN Security Council (UNCS) convened a special emergency session over escalating tensions between Iran and Israel on June 24, 2025. During the emergency meeting, Israeli UN Ambassador Dan Tanon declared that Israel would not have attacks on Iran until its nuclear capabilities were dismantled. In the same session, UN Secretary-General António Guterres described the situation in the Middle East as having reached a dangerous turning point and called for an immediate ceasefire and diplomatic resolution. Leaders from countries including Russia, China, and Pakistan expressed strong support for a ceasefire. A proposal calling for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire became a central focus of the discussions. UN adopted call for Israel-Hamas ceasefire. On June 2025, a proposal calling for an immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire was brought before the UN Security Council. However, the resolution was not adopted unanimously as the United States voted it. UN General Assembly. On June 2025, the UN General Assembly in an emergency special session passed a non-binding resolution. The resolution included the following key points: an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, immediate release of hostages held by Hamas in acts deemed war crimes, lifting of the blockade on Gaza to allow unrestricted humanitarian access, a call to ensure urgent humanitarian air raises Israeli occupied air by removing restrictions. International community issues strong warning over Iran-Israel conflict, concern from the United Nations and global leaders. UN Secretary-General António Guterres, regarding the recent escalation, he warned that the entire Middle East is on the brink of chaos and urged for maximum restraint and the de-escalation through diplomatic means. UN Secretary Council in an emergency meeting, several permanent member states, including the United States, France, Russia, and China, expressed deep concern over the rising threat levels and called for safe and effective diplomatic efforts to resolve the tensions.